WHAS 11 Weather First.
Right now, live at 5 on WHAS 11 News, wind gusts continue to blast through Kentuckiana. Breezy enough to wear a jacket for many today, and some thunderstorms have been popping up around Metro Louisville. We're going to update the wind advisory for you as well. Hello, everybody, and thanks for joining us at 5. I'm Doug Proffitt.
And I'm Shay McAllister. Meteorologist Christina San Juan is here now with more on that wind advisory and the storms in our area right now. Christina.
Yeah, that's right, Doug and Shay. We are starting to see some storms fire up just ahead of a cold front that's going to be working its way through Kentuckiana over the next several hours. We're not dealing with anything severe, and I don't expect these storms to become severe, but it is certainly increasing our wind as those that broken line of showers and storms is continuing to push up to the northeast. Also could contain some very small, maybe pea-sized hail as it continues to push up to the northeast, and we're seeing less than a handful of lightning strikes here as that line passes through Seymour, Indiana, stretching back down toward Hardinsburg, where we're starting to see that development. Around Brownstown right now and Crothersville, you have maybe 3 to 4 lightning strikes there as that continues to push out of our area, as well as Palmyra, and then right over Alton to the south of Leavenworth, Indiana, as we speak. Everyone feeling the wind, though, whether or not you're seeing any of those thunderstorms or not, you're certainly going to be continuing to feel that wind for at least another hour or so. We're gusting over 30 from Hardinsburg, stretching up to Jasper, but thankfully that wind is going to shut off and all of that rain's getting on out of here shortly after sunset this evening, clearing our skies, but also dropping our temperatures out the door tomorrow morning in the middle and upper 30s. But thankfully, we're keeping the sunshine around, at least for your Wednesday. Right after that, though, tracking some more storm chances, a very active pattern for us ahead. I'll tell you just when to expect it coming up in just a bit. Doug and Shay.
All right, Christina, thank you very much. Now to the rescue efforts underway, hoping to find the 6 people unaccounted for after a cargo ship rammed into a Baltimore bridge, causing its sudden collapse. The Maryland governor says there's no indication of terrorism, calling this a terrible accident.
Authorities, though, are now piecing together exactly what led up to the catastrophic incident that collapsed the Francis Scott Key Bridge right into the river there in Baltimore. Here's what we know at this hour. It all happened at 1:30 in the morning. Maryland's Governor Wes Moore saying that the Dolly cargo ship, which was headed to Sri Lanka, suddenly lost power and issued a mayday call just moments before it hit a pillar of the bridge. That gave authorities enough time to stop others from crossing the bridge. The ship moving at 9 miles per hour. When it hit one of the bridge's supports, a span of the bridge broke up and dropped into the water within seconds. You see it happening on your screen there. 6 construction workers who had been fixing potholes on the bridge remain missing.
I recognize that many of us are scared right now. And so I want to be very clear about where everything stands. We are still investigating what happened, but we are quickly gathering details. The preliminary investigation points to an accident. We haven't seen any credible evidence of a terrorist attack.
2 people were rescued early this morning out of that freezing water. The ship's mayday warning enabled authorities to limit civilian traffic. President Joe Biden later saying that undoubtedly saved lives. Right now, the NTSB says they're working with the Coast Guard, but standing back from boarding that cargo ship, hoping to allow rescue operations to continue uninterrupted. Now, President Biden is ensuring the government will help rebuild the bridge and the port.
I told them we're going to send all the federal resources they need as we respond to this emergency. I mean, all the federal resources. We're going to rebuild that port together.
President Biden also saying it's his intention that the federal government will pay for the bridge's reconstruction. Last year, that port handled about 52 million tons of foreign cargo worth around $80 billion. Federal inspectors rated the 47-year-old bridge to be in fair condition structurally. Stay with us. ABC's World News Tonight will have more live updates from Baltimore at 6:30 right after WHAS 11 News at 6.
And back here at home, local leaders are talking about the collapse. Louisville Mayor Craig Greenberg took a moment to mention those impacted and offer our city's support.
I do want to extend all of our thoughts and prayers to everyone in and around Baltimore this morning who are dealing with the tragic incident that happened on their bridge. And I know that they are in good hands with all of the public's officials that are dealing with that tragedy up there today. And so our thoughts are with Mayor Scott and all of the citizens of Baltimore and Baltimore County this morning.
From 1960 to 2015, there were 35 major bridge collapses worldwide due to ship or barge collisions. That's according to a 2018 report from the World Association for Waterborne Transport Infrastructure. 18 of those collapses happened in the United States. One was even recorded in Kentucky. In 2012, a cargo ship hit the Egner's Ferry Bridge that crosses Kentucky Lake. Now to the major story back here at home, the vote that could change the way your child gets to and from school.
It would be an historic change for JCPS, could come tonight at the board meeting. The JCPS superintendent, Dr. Marty Polio, expected to recommend major cuts to bus transportation. We're talking about what the district is labeling option number 1, to provide bus service only to kids attending their reside schools. That means the majority of magnet and traditional school students would not be included and would have to find their own way transportation to school. JCPS officials say it's the only way to cut enough bus routes to get ahead of the bus driver shortage. Our senior reporter, Isaiah Kim Martinez, and photojournalist Emma Gefter look ahead to what's at stake tonight.
What are you looking for?
The lack of sufficient drivers sits at the center of JCPS's expected recommendation to end bus service for most magnet and traditional school students.
Help with the problems that's going around.
Still, people like Octavius Jackson trying to shift the trend, filling out his application at a job fair Tuesday.
That's one reason why I wanted to try to change and help the change, because they do have a big shortage, so I think we can help one another.
JCPS officials say they're expecting to lose nearly 30 more drivers by next year. The district believes drastically reducing routes is the only option to get kids to school and back home on time. But on the other hand, there are concerns over the threat of thousands of kids most in need losing their ride to top-ranked schools across town. This comes as that nearly 250-page audit calls cuts to magnet transportation inequitable.
It's going to be very difficult, and I worry for some of the kids.
Current bus driver Larry Ferris Jr.,
Congratulations, Larry.
awarded for going the extra mile for his riders, will be watching the board vote closely.
On one end, you want to benefit bus drivers. On the other end, you want to benefit the community. And then in the middle, you want to benefit, the kids. It's mainly about the kids.
The move would bring city-run TARC buses back into play for students. The public transit system dealing with its own staffing shortages and delays in recent years. At his weekly press briefing, we asked Mayor Craig Greenberg if the city is ready.
We are having those engaged discussions more so than any time in the past.
Is TARC prepared for an influx of potential students, thousands who travel to magnet schools?
We're trying to work through what the implications of what any decisions JCPS makes, and we will be ready. As I understand, these would be changes that would happen next fall, so we've got some time.
In a statement Tuesday, TARC telling me, quote, "We're looking forward to working with JCPS to make it as easy and seamless as possible to purchase and distribute passes so Jefferson County students can take advantage of TARC's existing service to get where they need to go." Isaiah Kim Martinez, WHAS11 on your side.
Again, that big vote from the school board on next year's transportation plan is expected tonight during a meeting at 6 o'clock at the Van Hoos Education Center. We'll be there in full coverage.
And coming up at 5:30, join us live is former JCPS school board member Sam Corbett. He says that audit of JCPS that came out yesterday complicates tonight's vote. Again, that's coming up at 5:30. Developing news we're following today from Columbus, Indiana, just to the north of Louisville. Firefighters put out a fire at the Columbus Family Dentistry Center there. First responders were called to the scene just before 4 a.m. The Columbus, Indiana Fire Department says the fire was coming out of the rooftop when they got there. They attempted to fight the fire inside before conditions got bad pretty fast, and the business owners arrived and spoke with the first responders. The dentistry has been around for 20 years. There were no injuries, but the damage to the building is extensive. Also new here at 5, employees at a Louisville daycare center say it's taking way too long for Metro Police to respond after their calls for help.
Little Genius Daycare has been vandalized several times. Employees say they've dealt with numerous trespassers and even violent attacks. Jose Alonso has more on their cries for help.
Since the beginning of this year, Little Genius Childcare has called 911 multiple times, but says it's been approximately a 30-minute wait until an officer arrives here. Employees here say it's discouraging to them and to the parents, and that they hope to form a better relationship with LMPD. Take a look at security video from late February. You'll see a man busting out windows with a rock. The daycare believes this is the same man who did it again earlier this month. Assistant director at Little Genius, Desiree Thompson, says the next day they called police because the same man was outside harassing parents, but was disappointed in the response time of officers.
I don't know who our new beat officers are. At one time, we had police officers that would come in and they would attempt to talk to the children just so that we could bridge that relationship that kids in this area unfortunately have when it comes to law enforcement, because it's not always seen in a positive light.
I reached out to LMPD. They told me they would need more time to research specific response times. They did tell me the department is 304 officers short and emergency calls are prioritized and dispatched through MetroSafe. In Louisville, Jose Alonso, WHAS11 on your side.
Well, the assistant director tells us the repeated vandalism has cost them thousands of dollars.
Even while facing these challenges, they say they don't plan on moving anytime soon because they serve an important role in education for West Louisville. Now, taking a closer look at how many officers are responding to different parts of Metro at the moment, according to the Louisville Metro Comprehensive Review Commission, there's roughly 1 officer per 300 residents in the downtown and West Louisville areas. Comparing that to other parts of Jefferson County, it's the most well-covered area. In South Louisville, there's 1 officer per every 1,000 residents, and in Eastern Jefferson County, there's 1 officer per every 3,000 residents.
You will soon have the opportunity to weigh in on the federal consent decree that will shape reforms within Metro government and Metro Police. The U.S. Department of Justice has scheduled 2 community meetings, one in person, one virtually, both happening in April. The team who conducted the DOJ investigation will share what consent decrees have done for other cities and what they can do here in Louisville. Right now, the DOJ and city leaders are negotiating the terms of the decree. The first meeting is Monday, April the 8th, from 6 until 7:30 at the Republic Bank Foundation YMCA on West Broadway. The virtual meeting will be held on April 16th. The DOJ says they plan to have other events in different parts of the city in the coming months.